So I'm gonna go do all the research so you guys don't have to stress.
I'm not sure I understand.
Really? Really, Siri? Mercury is so in retrograde. So in retrograde. Sorry about that. Alright, I was gonna Snapchat this directly to Pacifica. I can't find their Snapchat. I don't know if they don't have one, so I guess I'm gonna Insta story this and hope for the best. But I tested a product for a video review. It's gonna go up on Monday. And this morning I was like, it can't be that, you know, I'm gonna do it again. So I tried it out again today, even though it's not going in the video because the video is edited. I need you to tell me the truth, Pacifica. Be honest. Do you employ wizards? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting a new series that I am calling Spoonie Certified. Basically, the series is going to be me testing out products, checking to see, one, if they actually work, and two, if they work on my incredibly sensitive, immunocompromised skin. I know that a lot of us have issues because of our various medical conditions, that we can't always use recommended products. Hi everybody. We're gonna have a little bit of lack of continuity issue happening here because I finished shooting and then it occurred to me that I forgot to ask you guys to please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell. I know you're probably tired of hearing me say that, but it really does help me out. I am trying to get up to 100 so I can customize my link. And I would also love it if you guys followed me over on social media. I've really been enjoying the conversations that a lot of us have been having on Twitter. I also post quite a lot to weird, funny stuff to Snapchat, and then I do post pretty frequently to my Insta stories and to Instagram as well. I would love it if you guys would come over, say hi, hang out, connect with me there. All right, housekeeping out of the way, we're gonna get back to the actual video. Sorry about that. So I thought for my very first one, I'd talk about setting sprays. As I have mentioned in a couple previous videos, I've had some bad reactions to setting sprays. I decided the best way to go about this, since I made the mistake of not patch testing, the one that I had the reaction to, was to patch test, but I didn't want to buy a bunch of them. What I did instead was I took an eyeliner pencil and I went into Sephora and I made sure that it was a brand that they don't actually carry in Sephora. And the clerk was super nice. Like, they always stop you when you come in and ask if they can help you. And I thought, I don't want to wander around in Sephora for 45 minutes trying to find where all the different setting sprays are. So I told her what I was doing and she was so sweet. She spent like 20 minutes showing me where all of them were. And I took the eyeliner pencil and I literally drew little spots on my arm and put numbers in them. And then I took the notes app on my phone and be like, number 1 is Urban Decay, Up All Night. Number 2, Anastasia, Beverly Hills. Great. So I would know which one went where. And I figured this would do two things for me. One, since it's a makeup product, I would be able to tell if the setting spray was working. And then 2, if I was going to have a reaction to it. And if you decide to do this on your own, I would recommend going in the morning because I left it on all day and there was one, and I don't remember which one it was. One of them I didn't start to have a reaction to until a good 4.5 hours in. But what I figured out was that I was running into one of two problems. Either the setting spray didn't give me a reaction, but it also didn't really work because the eyeliner wound up smeared. Or 2, the setting spray worked, but I had a reaction to it. Which made me think I needed to look at the common chemicals in the setting sprays that I was having reactions to. Turns out there are 2 chemicals that seem to be causing the problems, at least from what I can tell. One is denatured alcohol, which is in a lot of setting sprays. The other one is formaldehyde, which honestly, I don't think is good for anyone's skin, but is especially not good for people that are immunocompromised. During my research into what was in the setting sprays that were irritating me, I discovered a little bit about the history of setting sprays, which is that in their original form, when they were first invented by makeup artists, they were only distilled water, glycerin, and witch hazel. There are still recipes out there on the internet for you DIYers if you really wanted to make your own setting spray. I wasn't quite ready to go that route yet because I am a Spoonie, and that just seemed like one more thing to do, and maybe I wouldn't have enough spoons for that. But I knew what I didn't want, and I also started to get a better idea of what I did want. So I did a couple Google searches, and two brands came up. Pixie and Pacifica both came up in my searching. And looking at the skincare ingredients, because both of the brands have a lot of skincare ingredients in their fixatives alongside the setting spray. But just looking at what was in them, I decided to go with Pacifica. And I went into Ulta because Ulta does carry Pacifica and they will let you try it on. And I actually patch tested it twice just to be extra cautious. I had no reaction. So I thought, we're going to try it today with a full face of makeup. Because it's one thing to put it on your arm, and where I patch tested it was pretty high up on my arm. It seemed to hold the eyeliner pretty well, but that doesn't really tell me how it's going to do on foundation, how it's going to do on, right. Today we're going to be doing, it's the Crystal Dew Setting Spray, and they say that this is for all skin types. Pacifica is 100% vegan. They are a cruelty-free brand. I did a lot of research while I was researching setting sprays and really looked into Pacifica as a brand. I knew a little bit about them before I started doing this research a couple of months back, but I didn't know that much. And I have to say, I really like their philosophy and a lot of the thought that they put behind their products. I have hopes for this. Cautiously optimistic, we'll see. What I'm going to do is just kind of a get ready with me, and it's probably going to be a little talky. I'm in kind of a talky mood today, and then we'll put this on and I'll check in a bunch throughout the day and see how it goes. All right, I'm gonna start out with my BB cream. I already put on sunscreen earlier, right before I started shooting. I put it on for a second time. And I'm using my toner to wet my sponge because I like to get just a little bit extra skincare added in. Can't hurt, right? As sensitive as I am and dry as my skin tends to be. So this week has been a bad week personally for me. It's, my husband was having some health stuff and it's okay, right? He's okay. But it was a lot of worry and stress and doctor's visits and yeah, just a lot of energy. And I love him, of course, right? I'm going to go and take care of him and be concerned and want to support him in every way possible. But you know what it's like when you're being someone who's chronically ill. I know what I would need, which is for the other person to not freak out, to not make it about them. So I tried to give him that, right, to show him that I was concerned, but also confident that we would get everything squared away, which we did. But still, it was a lot of like holding things in, a lot of all that worry, which was kind of wearing on me. And in the middle of all of that, I had promised my mom I would help her out with something. I'm using, FYI, this is a different concealer. This is by a company called the SAEM. They're a Korean company. It's a pinky concealer. I feel like I need it today because I've got a lot of kind of green on my skin. So I'm using a pink to kind of brighten and color correct instead of the Makeup Revolution one. Anyway, I had promised my mother I would help her out with something before all this other stuff happened. And I just decided I would go and do it because I don't know. I was probably not making smart decisions, honestly, but I just thought I'm just going to buckle up and go do this, which, right, bootstrapping, don't bootstrap. Excuse me. And it turned out to be not a great idea. My mom was talking about her one brother, and we have a very large family. My mom has a lot of siblings, and all of them, with the exception of one of my uncles, just recently beat cancer, which is phenomenal. I'm so relieved and happy. But the rest of the family, and there is a lot of them, are all very healthy. So there's really not a lot of understanding about what I go through in my chronic illness. And they're juicers, which I'm sure a lot of you spoonies out there know what I'm talking about. There is a whole group of people in the world that really believe that you can just cure yourself through the magic of juice and vitamins and, you know, that kind of stuff, natural living, exercise, etc., etc. So it's a lot of like my sister's hairstylist, second, third cousin, fourth removed, whatever, like drank grapefruit juice and now their autoimmune disorder is completely cured. It's a lot of that kind of stuff. And they're very well meaning. I know they think they're helping, but it's not helpful. So I'm trying to help my mom, and I'm already like exhausted because emotionally it had been a lot, both draining, and then it was a lot of like me going and doing things. And I was flaring from all the stress because stress makes you flare. And she starts talking about one of her brothers, not the one with cancer, and how he was diagnosed with high cholesterol. And the doctor basically said, you know, change your diet, but also we want to put you on some cholesterol medication. And he just decided, no, that he knew better, that he wasn't going to take the medication. All right, I'm going to prime my eyelids really quick. And my mother was telling me about how he went to the library and he got all these books and he did all this research and that he was just going to fix himself. Now, I'm not arguing the merits of a healthy diet or exercise, right? If you have something like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and you're able-bodied enough to exercise, then exercising is good for you, right? I'm not going to argue the merits of that. I'm not going to argue the merits of having a healthy diet either. I also know how difficult that is for spoonies because a lot of times food doesn't taste good. We have difficulty keeping weight on because we don't want to eat anything. I know after I'm infused, a lot of times I don't want to eat for several days. I also don't have much energy to cook for myself, right? So it becomes like, do I eat it healthy, which means I'm not eating, right? Because I don't have the energy for that, or do I just eat something maybe not as healthy, but to get some calories in my system, right? I know a lot of spoonies know what I'm talking about. So she just keeps talking about my uncle, and she herself has been struggling with some high blood pressure issues, and the doctor put her on medication. And she was so offended at the idea that she needed medication and so certain that her doctor was wrong. And so she's talking about my uncle and she's talking about herself and about how she should basically be able to like cure herself. And what I was hearing from her was that I'm a failure because I'm not curing myself. Like, I'm not doing enough. And I know if I were to say that to her, hold on one second. Today I'm going to be using, this is the Etude house. I'll cut a picture of this in. It's a Korean brand, and I really like these eyeshadows a lot, but Korean eyeshadows tend to be less pigmented than ones manufactured in Europe and the United States. It's a cultural preference. So I've had issues with them fading. I picked them specifically for this because I figured I'm going to give Pacifica a run for its money. I want to see if it really works up against the eyeshadows that I have the most trouble with. Anyway, back to my story. What I was really hearing from her was, I'm a failure, right? Like, I should just be able to bootstrap, or I'm not doing enough, right? I'm not doing enough. I'm not exercising enough. I'm not eating a healthy enough diet. I am the reason I am sick, right? And I know if I said to her, you know, Mom, this is how I'm hearing this, her response would be, you know, sweetie, I don't mean you, right? And I'm sure she doesn't. My mother does love me. She wants me to be well, right? I'm not, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of passive ableism that happens, and I'm guilty of it in how I speak about myself sometimes. And I've been working really hard on changing that. My therapist has been kind of calling me on it when I say things that are passively ableist in reference to myself. So I know if I called her on it and said, Mom, you know how ableist that sounds, right? That it makes me feel awful, that she would get very upset and then be kind of upset with me for hearing it that way. I don't know if that makes sense. And so then it becomes like, well, now she's upset because I'm upset, and now we're dealing with her being upset. And this is on top of, you know, me helping her. And there was a lot of her kind of saying, I need you to keep working. I need you to keep working, right? And I kept having to like slow down, take a break. And I had said to her at one point, I was having a lot of pain. And she said to me, well, you just got infused a couple weeks ago. You should be fine, right? Like the infusion is some sort of magical fix that's just gonna make me better. And I hesitate, right, to even call my infusion treatment anymore. I used to call it treatment. Now I call it what it is. It's poison. It's poison. Because the way my immune system is that it does not recognize that my body is my body. It thinks my body is a foreign entity, a foreign invader. And so it's eating me alive. And what the doctors have to do is basically give the immune system something that it registers as more dangerous to go after. So for a few weeks, I would say for probably 4.5 to 5 weeks after they administer the poison, between the poison and the huge amount of immunosuppressants that I take, and I take a lot of pills every day. It's insane the number of pills I take. It does somewhat keep it in check. But when I'm under a lot of stress, or when we get to be several weeks out and the poison has started working itself out of my system, the pain starts coming back, right? Because my immune system basically doesn't have enough to do, so it goes back to trying to kill me. And just this notion, right? Like, well, you had your medicine, so you should be fixed, right? Like I can be treated as normal. And I don't like even using that word normal because I feel like there's some sort of like implied judgment there. I am how I am, right? It's normal. What's normal for me might not be normal for you, and that's fine, right? I hate the word normal. It's just, but I felt like from her that there was sort of this implication of like, well, you're just fine because you got infused and you need to keep going. That there aren't limitations, right? And there are limitations. So the whole thing just left me feeling like, you know, on the one hand, I'm being judged for not curing myself or not being as strong as the members of my family who just, you know, cure themselves, even though it's completely illogical, right? Because I know that the medical problems they're facing, it's apples and oranges, right? It's an unfair comparison. But so on the one hand, I'm feeling like, just, right, you're not working hard enough to be well. And then on the other hand, I'm also being told you should be more normal, right? You should be able to do these things. Like, that she gets to set the bar. I guess that's what it is. That either way, she gets to set the bar of what's acceptable and how I can be. When it's my body, and she should be asking me, right, where the bar is. It was just very upsetting. And I know, like I said, my mother loves me, and I know it's very upsetting to her that I'm sick. Of course, nobody wants a loved one to be sick, and that she really wants me to be healthy and well. But she'll say to me a lot, like, they're going to cure your disease one day. And I keep saying to her, I can't think that way. It doesn't work that way. Maybe, but what that says to me is how you are right now is not acceptable. How you are right now needs to be fixed. And I'm not arguing that something in me isn't, like, my immune system is horribly broken, right? I know that. But nobody wants to be told, well, we just need to wait for you to be different, right? And I know what she means is, I don't want you to suffer anymore. But that doesn't change the fact that I suffer. It doesn't matter what she wants, right? It's just what is. I mean, there's this really great line, and I don't even remember what it's in reference to, but in the show King of the Hill, one of the characters, Bill Dauterive, somebody is handing him a line of bull, and he says, why don't you just tell me I can fly to the moon and marry a mermaid? And that's kind of what I think, right? When people say, like, we're going to cure you, you're going to get a cure. In my head, I think, yeah, and I'm going to fly to the moon and marry a mermaid there, right? Maybe I will get cured. I can't think that way. It doesn't help me. And it implies that I'm going to have to basically put everything on hold, and that I have no value as I am right now, that I'm only valuable to the world if I'm whole. I don't know if any of this is making any sense to any of you. Okay, I'm going to be using, this is Innisfree. It's also a Korean brand. I want to use, they make some phenomenal glitters. They make these palettes, they're magnetic, so you can kind of DIY your own palette. And I'm going to use this gold glitter. It's absolutely beautiful in the center of my lid. And then I'm also going to use their blush here. I know this is kind of a scary orange color, but it's really, really pretty on. And I'm going to put the gold on with my finger because it is a little chunkier. Anyway, I don't know if anything I said made any kind of sense. I think the medication thing is a real trigger for me, because long before I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, I had clinical depression, and I also have an anxiety disorder. And they've gotten worse as I've gotten sick. Sorry, there's just a tiny bit of fallout with this glitter. Because being chronically ill is incredibly depressing, right? Having days where you can't get out of bed, or you can't do the things that you want to do, or just all of it. It's very depressing. And then when you're in a lot of pain, you also tend to have a lot of panic attacks, because the body doesn't always understand where the pain is coming from. My doctor likes to say my body doesn't know the calls are coming from inside the house, right? So it triggers a flight or fight response, and I wind up having a panic attack. And I've always kind of had panic attacks, but they were normally triggered to like, I don't like small spaces, I have trouble in grocery stores, large crowds, that kind of thing, right? And then I just started having these panic attacks that felt like they weren't tied to anything. And then the doctors figured out, well, it's actually tied to pain that I'm suppressing. I'm so accustomed to being in pain that I don't always register. But, you know, the medication thing, it's a real trigger for me because of the clinical depression and the anxiety already with my family. You know, I don't think most of them believe in taking antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds. I mean, I honestly believe a lot of my mother's blood pressure issues, just knowing what's happening in her life, is in fact tied to anxiety. And she has a little bit of white coat syndrome, which is basically you get nervous when you go to the doctor and then your blood pressure goes up. But when I tried suggesting to her that it was anxiety, you should have seen the look on her face. It was like I suggested that gremlins were coming along and mucking about with the machinery. Like that's just, we don't get anxiety in our family. Except for me, because clearly, right, I am just a horrible failure all over the place. All right. I'm going to be using this Essence Pure Nude Cosmolighter for my highlighter. This is the green highlighter that I finally managed to replace. This is not the green highlighter video. I just feel like using it today. And just to be clear, I was being sarcastic. I do not actually mean any of the things I just said about myself. Right? I don't want you guys to be like, don't talk so negatively about yourself. I know none of that is true, right? And I am not ashamed of the fact. Clearly, I am on camera talking about the fact that I struggle with depression and have always had clinical depression. I mean, I started being suicidal when I was 9. I didn't know what it was. I just knew I wanted to go to sleep and never wake up again. It wasn't until I was older I was like, oh, yeah, suicide. And I'm a lot better, right? Therapy, medication, you work it, it works. I am a big, big believer that mental health can get better. If you have clinical depression, I do actually believe clinical depression is a form of chronic illness because it never really goes away. You will never be cured. You will always have it. You will always need to take medicine for it. You are always going to need maintenance. I think on the spectrum of chronic illnesses, it's not always as debilitating. It can be for some people. So I don't want to minimize anyone who medication hasn't worked for, or they take a lot of medication, but they still really struggle, because I know that there are people out there like that with chronic depression. But I also feel like it just, from my own experience, it can get better. It's not always horrible, but like I said, being chronically ill, no matter how much medication I take, I'm going to be depressed, because being chronically ill really, really sucks a lot. A lot. And then when you have people saying things to you like, why are you moving so slowly? Or have you thought about drinking juice? Or are you eating the right kind of diet? Or when was the last time you exercised? Well, I got out of bed. We're going to count that as exercise. Okay. I'm done ranting, and I'm almost done with my face, so it's good timing. I'm gonna put on some mascara here really quick. This is the Milani. I really, really like this mascara. I keep thinking I need to get a new eyelash separator, because it's not that this is clumpy, because it's really not. I'm gonna see if I can maybe get a close-up of this so you guys can see. It's not clumpy, but I feel like my eyelashes would look even better if I ran a separator through them. And my old one, I don't know what I did to it, but the little tines on it, I like the metal ones, and the little tines on it are all crooked. Something happened. They got mangled, poor thing. Okay. I'm going to shut the camera off just for a minute and do my eyebrows because nobody wants to watch that. That's boring as hell. And maybe put on a lip product. I will be right back. Okay, guys, brows are on. Lip tint is on. I put on a little bit of this Wet n Wild Catsuit. This is called Peach Side Eye. And then I also used just a little bit of their gloss on top it's called Sunlight? Sunlight. Not my favorite. It's a little tacky, I think, but I needed something to bring a little more gold into the color because I feel like this runs a little pink. Okay, moment of truth. Time to put this on. I always shake up a little bit, just if there's glycerin in it, it can want to separate naturally. All right, I'm going to say right off the bat, it smells really good, but not in like a cloying perfume kind of way. It's very light. And the spritzer on this is phenomenal. A lot of the lower end setting sprays, you don't get very good like spritzers on them, but this is a really good spritzer. So now, as they say, the proof is in the pudding. So let's give it a good 12-hour wear test and see how we do today. I'll be back with my check-ins. Bye, guys. Hey, guys. So I'm actually on my way out, and I thought I would do a quick check-in. It's been a couple hours. Yeah, it's been like 2.5 hours. Thought you might want to see this in natural sun. There is definitely a glow to the product. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, I firmly maintain that matte makes you look older, right? Especially when you're a spoonie, mattifying is just, it's not necessarily good. But yeah, this is very illuminating. So far, foundation, everything seems to be good, but I have been in the house, like I said, so here we go out into the 90-degree weather with high humidity. Let's see how we do. Hey guys, okay, this is check-in number 2. Today kind of got away from me. It is 5:09 in the evening. I was out running errands. I had to go pick up my husband. So let's take a look here. Still holding pretty strong. Eye makeup still looks really, really good. I had to reapply my lipstick, but I don't expect setting spray to hold my lipstick, so it's holding up really well. The one thing I will say, like, I can see on my nose, and I don't in here. I do not mind being highlighted a lot, but I think because it's a glowing setting spray, it really intensified any place I had highlighter, which does not bother me, but I am just saying that for your, I guess, benefit, in case you don't want to look super glowy, you know, maybe take a lighter hand on the highlighter. But I mean, I don't think it looks bad. Yeah. Wow, I'm impressed. And no, like, it doesn't feel uncomfortable on the skin. No itchiness, no nothing. So we're doing really well. I'm gonna check in again tonight before I take it off, probably around 9:30 is normally when I wash my face. So I'll see you guys in a couple hours again. Bye. Hey guys, I know I said I would do an end of the day check-in. We're not there yet, but as you can probably hear, my nose is kind of stuffed up. The cottonwood is making my allergies crazy. My eyes have been watering, and I've had to blow my nose about 5 times in a row. Now, ordinarily when I do that, stuff comes off of my, like, BB cream, foundation, highlighter, whatever is on my nose comes off. This time, nothing. Look at that. Nothing. Seriously, Pacifica? Wait, what did you do, like, magic unicorn dust in this stuff or something? I'm really impressed. Not to mention, my eyes have been watering, and, like, I don't know. I've got 3 more hours to go. We'll see how we do when we get to the 12-hour mark. Okay. All right, guys, as you can hear, my allergies are still kind of, it is 9:35. I have been blowing my nose off and on for like the last couple of hours. My eyes have also been watering like crazy. I have lost, like, I've had some mascara transference. I'm gonna bring the camera in for a close-up. Hold on 1 second. All right, so here we are up close. Definitely, I think I've lost some of my mascara, like I said, under my eyes. But I don't blame the setting spray for that. Overall, yeah, pretty impressive. All right, so I'm just going to say it. Pacifica Crystal Dew Setting Spray with Rose Quartz is Spoonie Certified. I'm fairly certain that Pacifica has access to some sort of wizard's magic, something. No scary chemicals, 12 hours of wear. Really phenomenal. Well done, Pacifica. I will reiterate, like I said in one of my check-ins, that because this is dewy, it definitely amps up any existing shine that you have. So any place you have highlighter, it is going to amp that highlighter up. If you really don't want your highlighter, take a lighter hand with a highlighter until you're comfortable with how the setting spray is going to look on your face. Because as evidenced by my face, nothing's going anywhere, even when you blow your nose a bunch of times. Well done, Pacifica, in your resident wizards or fairies or unicorns or whatever it is that you're doing. Very well done. Thank you for making a setting spray that I can actually use and works. That's it for me today. I hope you guys are happy, healthy, well rested, and remembering that self-care is the most important care. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Fairies? Unicorns? Right now I'm leaning towards wizards. You can tell me. I'll keep a secret. I think wizards. I'm thinking wizards. Yep. Even my dog Hugo thinks wizards. Wizards. That's how Pacifica's stuff works.